right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And if you have missed the live presentation that we have here tonight, you are welcome to go onto the Union website. It's on the main page as Speed Date Your Major, and you can watch the recordings. Tonight, we're here with Religion and Theology, and I have Dr. Benjamin Holdsworth, and he's going to be presenting to you tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. He will give his contact information as well, that you are welcome to email him any other questions, and he will help you out. So the time's yours.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. If you give me a moment, I will get our slideshow going and share the file with you. And so if you give me just a second, we'll make sure you are ready to watch our presentation, and we will talk about the religion program at Union College, which is our grand opportunity to help you explore the next steps in your professional life in serving God. And so here we go. So Union Adventist University in Lincoln, Nebraska has been in existence for a very long time, 125 plus years. But that doesn't mean we're still stuck 125 years ago. We continue to change, adapt, and create new opportunities for students to learn. And this is an illustration of learning. This was one of our Books of Moses classes last fall who was outside. And what you can't see is the high priest's demonstration with a student wearing the garb of the high priest that was talked about in the book of Exodus with an incense burner to illustrate the Day of Atonement. And so this was the class that day, having a great time learning in a very different way. So we want to talk about your mission and calling. We want to talk about the religion program and what kind of degrees are offered to help you achieve your goals that God is calling you to. We'll introduce you to the faculty. We'll talk about the religion club and activities, and you'll see pictures along the way of various things that we do as a program and connection with students and also across the college, and talk about how you can learn. What opportunities do we give you to grow and develop your life with God, but at the same time, your ministry to others. And then finally, we'll talk about scholarships. We assume that because you are interested in theology, you have experienced a calling, an urging, a nudge, maybe a conviction by God to take the steps in your life to serve other people and to serve God. And we value that. That is the reason why we are here, and the reason why we're talking to you today, to help you think about how God is calling you to take care of and to minister to others. And so our program exists to help equip students to not only enter in ministry, but also to thrive in ministry for decades to come. And to illustrate that calling idea that we have, this was a program that we had this spring for the students who are going into their leadership and ministry semester this coming fall. And I'll talk more about that later, but this is an example of the kinds of ways we work with students and work together to help them grow and learn and be ready to go into pastoral ministry in the churches throughout the United States and in some cases the world. And so what kinds of degrees do we offer? Not all of us are called to a pastoral ministry or ministering in a church. Some of us are called to minister in other ways. And so we offer a religion degree that helps students who are not necessarily interested in the pastoral role, but are interested in pursuing chaplaincy, either in academies or in churches or in hospitals and healthcare chaplaincy. And we've had students who are interested in military chaplaincy as well. And so we have a concentration in chaplaincy and are actively working with groups to help students have that chaplaincy experience as they finish their degree in religion and go into the field. Other students are interested in pastoral care, providing care and support to families or to children, or counseling And so we have a way of doing a religion degree with a pastoral care minor. And then other students who are interested in social media. How do we convey the gospel? How do we consistently have a presence in social media that is positive, uplifting, and builds communities online? And so we have that area of emphasis as well. Other students who come want to teach. And so we have students who go into a religion degree, who take secondary education so they can teach in academies, and have an opportunity to chaplain in academies and to work as an educator. And they go through the religion curriculum and the education curriculum to help them be ready to be good teachers and to represent Jesus. There are some minors that you get along the way. A minor is a group of classes that is an area that is an area of focus or an area of concentration that helps you be ready for either pastoral ministry or for youth ministry. And it is a way in which you're able to get the experience and the hours and the learning that will help you be ready to focus on a particular area. The biblical languages minor can be taken by a religion major, but usually it's part of the theology major, which we'll talk about next. The missions minor is for those who would like to be missionaries. And so we give you a set of classes, plus encourage you to do an entire year as a student missionary to build and gain that experience of what it means to live and work in the mission field. The religion minor usually is for those who are from taking other degrees or other programs who also want to serve God, but not necessarily go into a full ministry, but see that as part of their life. And the youth ministry minor is for those who feel deeply called to minister to children, young adults, teens, and to help them live a life of discipleship with God. For the religion degree, there is an internship that you're expected to fulfill, and that depends on what area you're interested in. So, for example, if you're interested in chaplaincy, we'll work out a way for you to be able to spend time with chaplains in an experience that will help you be ready for the area of chaplaincy that you would like to pursue. In the BA in theology degree, it's a different direction. This is for saying we'd like to experience pastoral ministry and be in pastoral leadership. That theology degree takes in a whole range of religion classes or theology classes, and also includes a biblical languages minor. Now, sometimes talking about languages of Greek and Hebrew, people kind of get a little intimidated or like, oh no, can I do that? And it's like, yes, you can do that. Our program is designed for students to be able to take these classes and succeed. And a theology degree is adaptive. You can go lots of different directions with a theology degree. We have some students, for example, now who are interested in leadership. And so they are taking a theology major, but they specifically would like to be involved in administration and leadership. So while they're finishing their theology degree, we're giving them the opportunity to get those experiences with pastors and with administrators to help them be ready to go into pastoral ministry with the direction that they feel called to go. The languages help you know how to better understand the Bible. And so you take 2 years of New Testament Greek and a year of Hebrew. And what it does, it's kind of like being used to watching everything in black and white. And for the first time in your life, you read it in color. And so if you read the Bible, whether you're looking at it electronically or otherwise, it's just text on a page. When you start reading it in Greek or in Hebrew, all of a sudden everything comes alive. And that's the reason why we have students go through the experience of learning the original languages of the Old Testament and New Testament. At the same time, as you go through the theology degree, we have you gain practical experience of working and leading in churches. And so we design our program in such a way that you are able to finish your junior year and in the fall of your senior year, go work with a pastor who has lots of experience, who is able to teach you and guide you through a whole semester of being in pastoral ministry And at the same time, you earn 12 hours worth of college credit. And that helps you finish your degree. And at the same time, that experience of working in churches also allows conferences and union conferences to see your role in ministry. And we've had many experiences in the last few years with this program in place where students end up being hired before they graduate, which is a thing that we are excited about. It tells us and gives us confidence that our students are ready to go into ministry. It also tells us that the conferences, the administration, and church leadership is interested in our students because they know what kind of quality education that they have received. So our goal is to have students who are ready for pastoral ministry and ready to go to seminary to work on their master's in divinity, which is the next step in a career in pastoral ministry. Now I'm showing you a picture of a church. And you could say, well, it looks like any other church. But the reason why I'm showing you this picture is because of that one guy standing down there on the platform. That is our campus chaplain. That's David Kabanje. Now, I show you David Kabanje in this little tiny speck in this picture because David Kabanje was a student in our program. And God took him through a series of experiences and brought him back to Union College, where he now serves as the campus chaplain with his undergraduate degree in theology, with his master's degree in leadership, and being able to help lead and care for all the students on our campus and to be a great mentor and role model in helping students who are pursuing degrees in theology. So who are the faculty? Who do you learn from? Well, I'm one of them. But let's talk about the rest. I'm the Dr. Ben Holdsworth that you see there. I came to Union College in 2009. I'm going to talk about myself just briefly, and then three of my people that I work with, my colleagues, other faculty members who are part of the program and who've been here for an awful long time, at least perhaps from your perspective. For me, it's kind of short, but they're great people and I want you to get to know them. And then we'll talk about one of our adjunct faculty as well, who you will get to know really well your freshman year. So Ben Holdsworth, Dr. Thomas Taves, Dr. Steenberg, Dr. Tricia Broy, and then we'll talk about the Mrs. Dr. Taves as well. So my experience is a little different. I had a career in business and then came into pastoral ministry and teaching ministry later. So I have a BA in theology, an MBA, Master's in Business Administration. And then I did a Master's in New Testament, looking at the book of Ephesians, a doctorate in New Testament, looking at the book of Romans and the Bible. And I have an interest in churches. So I'm showing you a church that is not in the United States. This church is in Cyprus. But this church is associated in Christian history, and this location is associated in Christian history with Lazarus, the Lazarus that Jesus raised from the dead. And so here's this conversation that we have between the study of the Bible, but also these ancient places where we find a history, a tradition of the stories that we see in the Bible and how they continue. I teach a range of classes. Much of what I teach is not directly related to religion or theology degrees, but it does teach courses that are helpful to other students. And so I teach a number of courses in ethics. You'll take one of those, Christian ethics. I teach New Testament epistles because of the background for what I did in my master's and doctorate. I have taught an entire semester of the book of Romans, which is always lots of fun. And then finally, I teach another area called global environment and national policy. I'm researching lots of different things, looking at religion, looking at economics and business, and simultaneously in how they impact the Adventist church and how does the church respond to impacts and issues that are existent in the entire global church community. And so that's kind of my area of that I read on and work on and write on. I have my wife, Annie. We don't have kids, but we got 2 cats. Of course, they own us. That's always the way it works with cats. They own you, you don't own them. But they're part of our lives and we appreciate them. I read a lot. I visit ancient churches. Here's another one. This is Durham Cathedral in North England. This is the church right next door to where I did my doctorate. And I like history and archaeology. And so it's a natural fit to go visit ancient places and at the same time have an interest in reading the Bible and seeing how people have honored God through time. The Mr. Dr. Taves, he came in 2010, the year after I did. Degree in theology, an MDiv from Andrews, and a PhD in historical theology. And you could be like, what's that? Well, it's studying how theology or the study of the Bible has changed or shifted through time. And Dr. Taves has that as his area of expertise. And so he teaches two classes that you'll take as a theology major. He'll take Christian Theology 1 and 2 from him. He teaches Daniel. He teaches world religions, Christian beliefs for those who are non-theology majors. He teaches the history of the Christian church, and he teaches the history of the Seventh-day Adventist church. And so he is kind of our church historian and also our Seventh-day Adventist church theologian as part of the group that teaches here. And of course, he has areas of interest as well. His interest that is kind of unique is how have people understood the idea of hell through time? And you could say, well, that's crazy. Well, it could be a little unusual, but at the same time, it helps us understand something about the great controversy from the Adventist view, the Adventist perspective, and how other people have thought or grappled with those issues through time. He has an interest in the philosophy of the mind. How does the brain work? How does it respond to religion? How do people make choices in faith? And then finally, theological anthropology is this idea of how has humanity grappled with the study and an understanding of God through time within the Christian worldview. His family is the Mrs. Dr. Lena Taves, who you'll meet here in a bit, and they have two sons. Hobbies, he likes spending time with his family. I know he works on cars. Lots of students have worked with him on cars through the years. They have a garden, and he is currently writing a Sabbath School quarterly, I believe, for the young adult Sabbath schools. And so sometime in the future, you'll see his name on an Adventist quarterly. Mr. Dr. Steenberg, Pierre is one of the individuals who comes from outside the United States. He's from South Africa. He has an undergraduate in theology, a master's, and a doctorate in biblical studies. And he did his work, and if you ever take Greek, on probably one of the most complicated books, First Peter. And you can say, wait, that's a little short book. And I'm like, yeah, it's a little short book, but there's a lot in there. And that's been his area of study. But he's also has an interest in families and has dedicated his life to working with families who are wanting to have a better relationship or are in crisis and helping them work through the experience of becoming healthy in their families and relationships. He is a wonderful colleague, and you will enjoy taking his classes. He is teaching a class, as you'll see here in just a moment, if you scan down just a little bit, the class on marriage and the family, and that his area of passion and his area of expertise in working with people. He is also the faculty member who has the experience of pastoral leadership and pastoral ministry and administration. And so he is the one who coordinates all the work that's done to help a student be ready to go into pastoral ministry and then work with them through the semester that they're taking their 12 hours of credit in a church while involved in ministry. He is someone who loves spending time with his family. Right now, he's in South Africa, spending time with all of his extended family for a couple of weeks. But it's his other hobby that is as much fun in talking with him and learning about as anything else. And that is his passion for photography. He is an amazing photographer. If you like taking pictures, he is another person you will want to go experience how to take great photos with. And so just to kind of give you an idea of the kinds of things that make him excited about life outside the classroom as well as in it. Dr. Broy. So Dr. Tricia Broy is our most recent person who joined our faculty. And you could say, why all the jars? Well, her education is a little different. And her education is on the background of the Bible. And so her doctorate is in archaeology. And she specializes in jars. And so the picture is very meaningful to her, but it's a way to help you understand the expertise that she brings to teaching the Old Testament. She has a master's in Egyptian history. When you read Exodus with her, she can tell you an awful lot about those Egyptians. Okay. She has worked in Jordan for many years on archaeological digs and is one of the supervisors for a dig right now in Jordan. And so she teaches courses that correspond with the Old Testament. So she teaches books of Moses, or Pentateuch, as those first 5 books are called. She teaches Hebrew 1 and 2. She also teaches a class for the students who come from a different religious background called Introduction to Christianity and Adventism. And then she also teaches one New Testament class on Jesus and the Gospels. And so she is someone who brings a wealth of experience, who knows the Middle East, who has traveled a lot in the Middle East, and knows how to help bring the Bible alive by talking about the people and the places that are discussed in the scripture that set the background of how God works with his people, Israel. Interests, Old Testament and culture. She does her field work. There's nothing that makes her happier than digging in the dirt. And so here you go. She is digging in the dirt. Of course, this is an archaeological site, and this is one of the finds. While they were there, what makes it unique is there's human remains, and this is not something you usually find inside a town. And so this was a really neat moment for her in finding this location where there were human remains, and now determining why this burial underneath this house, which is kind of an unusual thing. So she looks at Moab and Ammon and Egypt during the time period of David and Solomon and on down through the kings to the destruction of Jerusalem in the Old Testament. Children, they have 4, 3 young boys that are very active, and they're great fun. 2 dogs and 1 cat, just to round it out, just to keep things exciting. Hobbies, she likes to read puzzles, likes table games, is a great traveler, enjoys being outdoors. And so her and her family are spending time outdoors this summer, and she'll be recharged to come back and teach this coming fall. The Mrs. Dr. Taves. So I have a Mr. Dr. Taves and Mrs. Dr. Taves. Her background, again, is theology. She has her doctorate in the New Testament. If you like the book of Acts, she's your Acts person. And has spent a lot of time studying the book of Acts and is a great teacher of Greek. That is her passion. It's the area that she has enjoyed the most. In fact, she enjoys it so much that she is writing a textbook and changing the process of how New Testament Greek is taught. And students who finish have 2 comments. 1, we learned far more than we thought. And 2, we enjoyed it. And the reason why they enjoy it is because of the way it is an immersive experience. You learn the Greek to talk it and to read and write and interpret it. And so she is writing a textbook right now on New Testament Greek. She's also involved with other organizations, and that's the Mrs. Dr. Taves up there in the top right of your picture, at one of our events. And this is where, again, we committed the students who are out this coming fall in pastoral ministry. And of course, you've met Mr. Dr. Taves already. She likes reading. She cares a lot for people. She spends lots of time coaching and counseling students. She is writing, and she likes to teach. And those are the areas that she excels in and is a great person to work with. So let's talk about everything else now that you've met all those faculty. We're interested in your whole life experience at Union. We're not only interested in what happens in a classroom, but we're interested in what happens when it comes to interaction with other students and how you're involved in the program, but also how you're progressing to be ready for ministry. So Religion Club is one place we start. And you could say, what is going on with these people and all this? Well, this was Club Rush. It's a night where people sign up for all their clubs. And what they were doing is representing the religion program. And they decided to do a 1970s theme. And this is our Religion Club president and our vice president having a good time. And of course, they forgot the I's in ministry, but who cares? It was a way of getting people's attention and just having a good time. And it was effective. It was a way to get people to sign up to come visit and talk with them. And the pictures were things that we had done together as the religion program through time. That's where in place to start. It's building community, getting to know people, and having them get to know you as someone who's interested in serving God. You learn leadership. And one of the ways of learning leadership is being involved in campus ministries. And so we encourage theology majors to be involved in helping the campus be a healthy place for God. They learn how to preach. We go out on preaching trips. There's a mentoring process or mentoring group that you can be part of, and there's lots of small group leadership. So almost every theology and religion major, by choice, nobody made them do this, by choice, have formed small groups so they can give an opportunity for other people who have an interest in studying the Bible or prayer or something that draws people together in a way that they can experience God, to be able to have a group that they can get to know and work with. Students become involved in area churches. So one of the things we do is encourage students to become involved, even in your sophomore year, directly with an area church or a local church. And that helps build your experience until you go into your leadership and ministry semester, where you'll go out and work with a senior pastor for while you take 12 hours of class credit. Some students take summers or entire years doing task force. So we've had students in the last 2 years who have gone out and worked either as student deans. They've done some student teaching. We've had students go as student missionaries. One of our current students who's heavily involved in campus ministries this year was a student missionary in Cambodia for a year. And so it's about what you're called to do, who you're called to be with, what God is asking you to step out in faith to do sometimes. But at the same time, it's a way of developing that scope of experience that God can come back into you later in life and say, remember when you did this? Now I'll show you why I had you do that. And so this is a way of seeing that scope of training and experience, and also having fun, because part of what you do is build community. This is one of our religion club game nights. Not everybody here is a religion major. There are lots of times where non-religion majors saying, hey, we want to hang out with a religion major. We want to hang out with the theology majors. And so this was an opportunity where we have, food, games, and faculty and students have a good time, have a chance to play together as much as learn together. And those are all important experiences for all of us. At the same time, we recognize that there are pressures. How do I afford an education? And so one of the things we have done as a program is made sure that we have scholarships in place to be able to help students with the cost of education. The other thing we are putting in place this year is a scholarship program that might be available to you as well as you consider coming to Union College and being involved in your education experience with us and helping reduce those costs as you're here. So I would strongly suggest you talk with enrollment as you sign up and deposit, and that also you talk with Student Financial Services and see what those opportunities are to help you afford education. And we have many students here who find ways forward when they thought it wasn't possible, and yet it is. So we encourage you to take steps to look at the affordability factor at the same time you look at the calling of God to live your life in service to Him. I come back to this experience that we had this spring. We had a special speaker, Gerardo Udry, who's the North American Division Ministerial Director, come and spend time with our students. It was a time in which we had him talk about experience in ministry across the entire North American division of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And yet at the same time, he was interested in our students and the quality of what we do here. And he was very impressed. And he was part of our dedication experience and dedicating our students to their calling to ministry. And this is, of course, if you're going to do if you're going to hold a service, you might as well have food, right? So this is us having food after that ministry experience and after that opportunity to dedicate half a dozen of these students to go into the field this coming semester. So they won't be on campus, but we will be talking to them and they will be talking to us as they get the experience of 12 hours of college credit as they learn. So now we come down to the last fun moment, questions. Because if you have questions, we'd love to answer them. If you are able to reach enrollment and they can help you, that's fine. If you have questions about the program, let me know. That Dr. Holdsworth there at the top and that address, that benjamin.holdsworth@uau.edu, that's me. And so now you know the guy that will respond and write back to you, or at least direct you to the right people for you to talk to. And if anything, you can look forward to a religion club event at 11 o'clock at night where the students said, we're not done having fun. Can we get ice cream? And so here are 3 tubs, 3 gallons plus of ice cream on the table, and they are making root beer floats. And so if anything, you know, if you're interested in a religion program, that's one thing. If you want good root beer floats, there's a group to join. Have a great evening. Hope that you enjoyed the opportunity to learn about the program, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for your time.